Now, I'm still looking at the benefit. How can we tap into part in a, like, for example, you were saying before, whether you are in Norway or you are in Italy or you are in Germany, you are in France, you are in China, it doesn't matter. All of us are working together for a common interest. Now that part has been approved, how can we tap into it for a common objective as African all over the world?
Well, first of all, get on the site. Get on the site and learn what PAD is doing. Also, look at, remember, I asked you specifically that you need to look at the Durban, the Durban Declaration. The Durban Declaration speaks to what PAD is about, what it's founding on, why it was done 20 years ago, why we were fighting for this for the last 20 years, why we've been fighting for this for the last 20 years, and what it means for PAD in what it offers. What we're going to be looking at when you look at the site, compounding inequities, things that we're negotiating now that we're setting a standard for to say that this will not happen again. The Assembly expressed alarm at the spread of racial extremist movements. So these are things that are happening to people now than we have recorded back in history. White supremacy is coming through, and they can't beat us in court. They can't beat us in legal ramifications, so they're trying to kill us. We have established a Human Rights Council, and we established a panel of experts to investigate systemic racism and the policies against people of African descent. And why are they doing that? And then that came on the heels of a report by the UN High Commission for Human Rights, which is another organization that you need to be a part of. And it's called the UN High Commission of Human Rights. It's OHCHR, if I'm saying that right. OHCHR, and that's the acronym. If you Google that, it'll come up, and it's the Office of the UN High Commission of Human Rights. And this started from the killing of George Floyd in 2020. You remember that story, how he was killed by police, and it was an outrage throughout the world. This man didn't even realize when he was born how much he would affect the United States, especially in this is the word that's used, compartmentalization. We are purposefully, through laws, through handling of these laws that are in place, they are specifically targeting people of color, to include people of the African descent, to marginalize them and keep them suppressed. She noticed this, and she put this in a detailed report. And only Africans, which are people, well, we're labeling them for, of course, we're all of African descent, but Africans being born in the continent, and those of African descent, which are people like me that are born here in the United States, but our blood is of African descent. So she put it in the report to establish that both parties are now one party, and we're just speaking of African descent. So whether you're on the continent, born on the continent, still on the continent, or if you were born in another land that your blood is of the continent, you're all one people. And that was profound. That was really profound. To get involved with an organization that unites the people at its own level, where we're not even united. You know, we as a people are not even united on that front. But she put that together to say that this is how we need to see them, people of African descent, because it encompasses all of us. So it automatically unifies us. It lets us know that no matter where you are, if you look like this, it's affecting you. It's relating to you. Powerful. So getting aboard on a mission like that, as well as I mentioned, the Office of the UN High Commission of Human Rights, allows us to be a unified voice. She already unified us in that statement to say people of African descent. PAD is people of African descent. So the organization is for all of us. So we need to get on board and begin to utilize this mission in our own denomination of what we're doing in our socio effect.
And I want to believe, of course, as we are talking of people of African descent, we're also talking of people that are in Africa, no? Because, of course, yes, we are not only looking at the people in the diaspora. So I'm trying to see if there is a way that PAD can sort of influence the policy that we have in yes, Africa. Because, for example, yesterday I was doing an important interview with an educationist in South Africa, and it was really very interesting because it was concentrating on education, how the kind of education that we have across the continent is not a happy issue. So, of course, there is this conversation that is going on, that the people of African descent that are outside of Africa have an impact, have a role to play in Africa, even though we are not directly there. So with opportunity like PAD, I'm trying to see how do you see us influencing what is happening in Africa through the use of this sort of collaborating with the United Nations.
This is powerful. This allows us to be a new voice in the United Nations. If we don't take advantage of this, and I'm going to say this for the record, if we don't take advantage of this and begin to use this in a way that better promotes us as a people, as well as promotes the mission of the people of the diaspora, shame on us. Shame on us. We have a voice now. We match and we get registered with PAD. We use the mission and the purpose of PAD to better and align us as a resource. And we will get into understanding what that means as a people, as a whole. And we use that to propel what it is that we're doing individually as NGOs. Powerful, powerful. The registration is the thing, because once you're registered, you're a part of it. Once you're a part of it, you can now use that in the inclination of what you're doing and your mission and your purpose. The NGOs are going to be amazing. They need voices, which is us. We need the platform of the UN to bolster us. So this is a win-win-win-win-win situation. But if we don't use it, I'm going to say this if we don't use this and we don't use this in the capacity that it was given to us to better ourselves, shame on us. And I say this for the record, and that's anybody from born in the continent, born in another country, of the diaspora, in the diaspora, or in the continent currently. If we don't use this, I'm going to come back on here and I'm going to shame all of us together. This is our voice. This is us. So it doesn't make a difference if you're from the embassy of, you said South Africa, if you're speaking from Ghana or Mauritania, or if you're speaking from the smallest country there, Rwanda. It doesn't make a difference. You have a voice in the UN. It's called the PAD. And it's of the diaspora. It's for the diaspora. It's for the continent. It's for anybody that looks like us, is born of us, and has blood of us. It is for all of us. So there's no reason for us not to be able to benefit and have a voice in the United Nations to be able to propel us.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's something that all of us definitely need to take advantage of. But when you were talking before, you made mention of the fact that even we are not united, no? Because of course that is something that a lot of people also have been talking about for a long time. But why do you think we are not united? We should be united, because if we are united, that is when we really do have the power. But what is stopping us from being united and fighting for a common front?
You know, every time I get this question, I always go back to what we're doing in the African continent. If you look at the leaders in the African continent, for the most part, they're not even uniting their own people. You have tribalism, you have classism, you have people and look at Nigeria right now. I mean, the mess that is being made with leadership. And these are the people we elected. So we have to, it's an attack of a consciousness right now. We have to realize what we're saying. Even though there's a public party, there's a popular party, and everybody wants to be a part of the popular party when they're voting. What are you voting? You're not voting your conscience, you're voting your popularity. And your popularity is a disjointing effort. Disjointing means you're taking it apart. It's supposed to be a well-oiled machine that works together, but you're pulling the cogs apart and you're expecting it to run properly. No, because once you pull it apart, they're two separate entities. So there's no more of that unity. There's no more of that joining together and working together. It is two separate entities. So we're not unified as a people. So how can we have people, ask people to respect us as a people if we're not unified together? So what we need to do is reestablish leadership. That's number one. We need to have a strategic plan, strategic programming to plan better in leadership. And then we need to have a unified voice. Just like PAD has unified us in the United Nations, we need to have a unified voice. I see often we're trying to have a unified dollar. You know, everyone in Africa normally vote. And they say that if we could ever get together and sit down at a table and say we want one currency for Africa, we would be a powerhouse in a month. Having one currency to like everybody in Africa have one certain dollar. Like, for example, we all go to the dollar system. So we use the US dollar as our currency for all of Africa. So from South Africa to Egypt, we use the dollar. Within 30 days, we would be a powerhouse because all of us would be trading that dollar across the globe. And we would be using that dollar, and we would be using it more because there's more people in Africa than there is in the United States. So we would be the powerhouse for the US dollar. And I'm using that as an example to show how the united piece would work in our favor. But when we look at us as a people, Ghana wants to be important one week, Nigeria wants to be powerful the next week, South Africa wants to be the voice the next week, and Egypt wants to say they're Egyptian, not African. So they're even pulling away from the African voice. So what we're seeing is everybody is not on one accord to be able to unify us. Even if we're unified under the dollar, the passport, we're trying to get an African passport. If we can unify in one solid area of leadership, everybody getting together and saying, yes, we're going to do this one thing, even if it means gender equality, which is what I was hoping that unified front was going to be, that all countries agree that we need a gender equity protocol in place, that we're not hiring based on man or woman. We're going to hire across the board. We're going to hire equally. We're going to hire everybody that's a doctor the same rate, everybody that's a lawyer the same rate, everybody that's an engineer the same rate, regardless. As long as you have that degree, you're going to get this amount of money. And as long as we can do that and get together on one point, it will propel us into other points. But we're not even together on one point. Everybody wants to be the superpower. We have the 5 superpowers: Ghana, Nigeria, South Africa, Ethiopia, and Egypt. These are the ones that encompass, that say that they set the tone for what we do in Africa. And if you notice, all of them are on the outskirts of Africa. So what we're not doing is we're externalizing all of our superpowers. We got Ghana, we got Nigeria, we got South Africa, we got Ethiopia, and then we got Egypt. And all of us are doing external things. We're not bringing the power into the country. We're not bringing our forces into the country. We're solidifying around the borders. So that's why the power is being kept around the borders. We won't bring it inward and help to build South Sudan, or to quell the mercenary happenings in the DRC, or maybe to get Central African Republic on the map. They don't even have an established agenda for what they're doing for Africa. But we're so busy centralizing and ostracizing the outpouring of what we're doing externally that we're not pouring into the unit of the continent. And I think that's a favorable measure that we can support and we can get better. But I guess more to answer your question, we as a people have to agree. We have to agree that Nigeria is not better than Ghana, that South Africa is not better than Nigeria, that Ethiopia is not better than South Africa, that all of us have a stake in making Africa great again. And I actually have a young lady that's making hats. Remember how the US had Make America Great? We're putting, the A is now Africa instead of America. Make Africa great again. And we're going to be able to offer that as a motto going forward. Make Africa great again. Do the things we need to do to make Africa great again. Sacrifice, make a return on your investment to be in your children or your grandchildren, but do the work now to unify us. The UN has done its part. Now it's up to us.